Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we're going to look at another very exciting game which features a queen sacrifice. And this game is really famous. It was played by Frank Marshall, one of the top American players ever. The top American player in the first half of the 20th century. The Marshall Chess Club is named after him in New York. And Marshall had black pieces. So let's take a look at this game. Might start with d4, e6 by Marshall, e4, and Marshall plays the French defense. Might plays knight c3, might had other options, might could have pushed, might could have taken, might could have played the Targe, but knight c3. And Marshall did not know openings the way we do them, so he already makes a fairly serious mistake. c5 is not good in this position because white is going to do things. For example, white can take here. After we take back, there is certain problems happening here. Okay, but white did not know this either, so instead he developed letting Marshall out of this predicament. Marshall plays knight c6. Now white decides to go to a similar position, but black is doing a little bit better in this version of events. Marshall takes back, and the point is now this is a little bit less clear, but still good for white though. White instead plays a little bit passively and gets ready to castle. Marshall develops the knight. Now this pawn is safe, so if white ever takes, this is double defended. White castles. Marshall plays bishop e7, getting ready to castle. White puts a little bit of pressure here. Notice our bishop is a little bit overworked. It's trying to hold the knight while holding the pawn. Marshall castles, and white takes advantage of the fact that our bishop is a little bit overworked. Also notice, once again, when this happened, white is pressing on this pawn. And he's about to take this knight. So this is why Marshall plays bishop e6. He's trying to hold the pawn. And white, again, he does not come up with the best continuation. He should have tried to defend his pawn, but he plays knight e4. Marshall is able to get his pawn back. White is somewhat happy, at least he thinks he's happy, because he gets rid of one of our bishops. Marshall takes back. And white puts pressure on the weak pawn. Marshall defends. Also, simultaneously, he gets out of the spin, which means we might want to take this bishop, which is why white drops the bishop back, and he has dreams of putting more pressure here. Marshall brings his last piece into the game, supports this pawn. White plays queen d2, possibly connecting the rooks. Marshall puts pressure on the knight. There could be ideas of pawn d4 coming. White decides to take it. The other idea, if we go back, was black playing knight e4, hitting this and this, so white thought it was a little too much, so he took the knight. Obviously rook takes, we don't want to take with the pawn. White activates the rook, and Marshall gets out of this, and at the same time we put in pressure here. If we take, we will at least ruin the pawns. White decides to sacrifice a pawn. Marshall doesn't think twice. He takes it, takes. We up a pawn. But white says, not so fast, because you pinned. And you cannot take me, because I take you. And if we're not careful, it's not just a trade, we lose. Because queen takes, rook blocks, and bishop here ends the game. Because we have to move the king, and we get checkmated. So let's go back. This is why, in this position, Marshall comes up with a cool move, knight d4, which improves our knight, attacks the queen. And here white made a mistake. He decided to play for tricks, which he should not have done. He plays queen h5. Well, queen h5 is a nice tricky move. It attacks the rook. For example, if black takes this rook now, white takes this one, rook blocks, white does this, again we can't go to the corner, we get mated, but takes, and white gets this pawn, and white is doing absolutely okay. So instead, let's go back, Marshall plays rook f8, saving his rook. This rook is still being attacked. So white saves his rook. And this position looks maybe a little better for black, because black piece is a little more active. We have two rooks, we have a knight, we have a bishop, and Marshall comes up with a very nice idea. He plays rook h6, and notice, by the way, this pawn is a little bit overworked. For example, if let's say queen d1, we can simply take and fork. So here, 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 and we get the rook, which is a really nice tactic. It's not so easy for white to deal with this. So white plays queen g5. Again, the same tactic is available, and Marshall of course finds it. He gives up his rook. Again, taking is not good. So white throws in rook c5. He says, alright, let me attack your queen. And okay, black is completely winning, but the move that Marshall finds is just utterly brilliant, and in the world of computers, it could be considered mouse slip, but this was played before computers. This was played on the board, and Marshall played a really, really beautiful move, queen g3, which is just super pretty. Oh no, my queen, in the best sense of the word, but white has to be very careful, because in the game, he just resigned. But let's give several options. So if here, now this line is open. So this is checkmate. Let's go back. Okay. Let's say he takes this way. Well, now we check here. He has to move. Now this is checkmate. Okay. So can't do it either way. Alright. We showed up here for a reason. We want to checkmate. So he can't just ignore us. So let's give him the best move. Let's pretend he takes the queen. So let's say queen takes queen. Well, now we check. We fork. He has one move. We take. Again, he can't take with this guy. It's not allowed. This is pinned. If he takes this way, he gets mated. So that means he has to move the king again. But now we simply up a knight, and our attack continues. We can grab the rook to simplify. We can just get the knight out of there, and we up a full piece with no complications. So queen g3. Oh no, my queen, says Marshall. Oh no, I'm lost, said white, whose name was Levitsky, and resigned the game. I hope you enjoyed this video. More fun games coming soon. Thank you. Please like, please subscribe.